Hello, I'm Bresnark, the Brand and Creative Director at Buyapowa. Welcome to Referral Marketing MVPs, where it's my privilege to speak to some of the people at the coalface of referral marketing, the real people who make it happen. Over the course of this series, we're going to speak to lots of different people, lots of different brands. We'll ask them how they got into referral, why they chose it, what they've learned, what mistakes they made, where they see referral going in the future. It's great fun. We've had some incredibly interesting and insightful chats with people. I think you're going to really enjoy it. So, particularly if you're thinking of trying referral for the first time, or maybe you've been doing it for a while, but you've kind of hit a plateau, this is masterclass stuff. So back, enjoy, and stay tuned to our channel where there'll be more of these over the coming weeks and months. BT Cellnet, O2, Vodafone, Virgin Media, O2, loads of MVNOs, Tesco Mobile, Like Mobile, giffgaff, SMARTY. It's David Caton, DC, as we're going to call him. DC, you're basically the glue that has held together the entire UK mobile industry for the last 25 years.
Yeah, I like to think of it like that. Some of my line managers haven't described me that way. But yeah, I'll go with the glue. Let's go with that.
The glue. It would have fallen apart without you.
Yeah.
It's lovely to speak to you just because A, you've been doing it for a while, which is brilliant, but B, you've been in so many different places. I can't think of anyone who is going to have a better perspective on all the kinds of things that we're going to talk about, because you've done it. I think when people do things once at one place, they have one perspective. But when you do it many times at many different places, you can look at things a bit more top down. Is that how you feel about yourself generally now that you're in that position?
Yes, I think so. And also each mobile operator, they have different types of customers. So it's not always the same when you go from one to another. For example, Tesco Mobile has busy shoppers and mums and families as customers. Like Mobile, for example, has international callers and ethnic communities. And yeah, so when I go from one company to another, I don't automatically assume what has worked in the past is going to work here. I don't assume the customers are going to behave in the same way. Yeah, so it's always different from one place to another.
And the other thing about you is that you've not only have you been in lots of places, but you've done loads of different things at all of those companies as well. So, you know, you've had the marketing role, but you've also had a commercial roles, and you've had CRM roles, and you've done loyalty. So again, it's that big old breadth that I guess you can only have when you've had a long and successful career.
Yeah, and it's been deliberate on my part. I started the majority of my career in the early days looking after customer bases, so in CRM and loyalty. And then about halfway through, I realized I haven't really spent much time on commercial and acquisition and propositions. So I switched halfway through. And yeah, so I feel like I'm quite rounded now as in the telco industry in commercial and strategy and marketing. Yeah, and then so like one of the interesting things about referral programs is they work from an acquisition and retention perspective at the same time. And that's, yeah, it's like a really important thing for all operators to consider, I think.
Yeah, I agree. People don't think about the flip side. Like a lot of it is all about the action of, you know, the friend who's being referred, which is like brilliant. That's an acquisition. But a referrer is automatically like loyalty bonded to the brand as soon as they introduce a friend. I've used this analogy before, but I use it again. It's like when you tell a friend, your friend's like, "Oh, I really want to buy a car. What car should I buy?" And you go, "Well, I drove a BMW. They're really good. They don't break down. You should get a BMW." And they get a BMW, and then they turn up a few days later and you switch to an Audi after they've got a bought of it. They're going to give you a look like, "What do you tell me to buy that for?" when you weren't even loyal yourself. So I find that when you refer and you have a little coterie of people around you who are all part of this family with you of, we're all Vodafone customers because you said Vodafone, it's really hard for the referrer then to switch because you're kind of socially tied.
Yeah, exactly. And in my experience, there are two sides to when someone refers a company. First is like altruistic, like I'm going to do something for my friend. I'm benefiting from this product or service. So then now they can benefit from it as well. So there's the altruistic side, but then there's also the selfish side. Because they're going to get something from it as well. Maybe some people are completely altruistic. Maybe some people are selfish. Maybe it's a bit of both. But the thing about referral schemes is it like satisfies both of those sides of the psyche of the person recommending the service. Also, what I found interesting in my time across different operators is the customers who join through a referral scheme or have referred are the most loyal. It is
Right.
interesting in that you trust the person who's referred you more than a company that you bought from directly. So my friend Jim has told me about this company and I bought it. So therefore I trust Jim, so I will stick with them. Whereas if I just went and bought it from a website or from a shop directly, I'm going on my own hunch, my own belief in that company. And people believe people more than they believe companies. That's
Yeah.
the experience that I've seen.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I specifically wanted to ask about that, but I'll do it now. Like, how much access? Because everyone is a data analyst these days. It used to be one guy in the back office in the dark, upside down. But now, we all have data. So, without asking you to come up with numbers off the top of your head, do the numbers bear that out? That the lifetime value and the tenure is longer for referred in customers and people who refer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, all the different operators are different, but one thing is similar about all of them is they're all extremely commercial organizations. So if you look at a referral scheme from a commercial perspective only, like the cost per acquisition of when you like try and acquire a new customer is monitored so closely no matter which operator it is. So therefore, a referral scheme is also monitored very closely. And therefore, mobile operators don't go around giving away £50 worth of value for you and 50 value for your friend, for example, unless they know 100% that's going to pay back and when it's going to pay back. So yeah, it is costly to give away vouchers, but it's not as costly as saying a big above the line TV campaign, a big out of home campaign, a big SEO campaign. They're all really expensive in comparison to giving vouchers. So yeah, those schemes they always pay back.
Let me jump up a tiny bit, and we'll get into the bones of referral in a second. But I just want your overall kind of thoughts because you've been doing this for a while and you really know your onions. Like, so how has the industry changed in 25 years? And are we at a point now where it isn't likely to change much more? Or do you expect the next 25 years to be as full of change as the last 25?
I think the mobile industry is a bit of a crossroads, an intersection at the moment. It's probably been quite quiet in terms of innovation for a while. So there was a time between about 2008 and 2013, maybe, where the iPhone came out, Facebook came out, Twitter came out, SIM only came out in the UK. All these things happened, and the industry was really excited. And at the end of that period, 4G came out, which made everything work, and it was really exciting. Everyone suddenly had these amazing devices in their hand. The last, I don't know, 10 years or so, that innovation seems to have slowed, and it's very difficult for the average consumer to pick one mobile operator from the other. Like, they may go onto a price comparison website and only make a decision purely on price. So that's the situation that the market's been in for a few years now. But eSIM has suddenly come along and 5G has come along, and those two things together should really galvanize the industry. eSIM in particular will help people to move operator really easily. Someone can request to leave their mobile operator instantly now, and therefore with eSIM, they can be on that new operator instantly. So in theory, it should be a lot more fluid, and so people can move around a lot easier, choose the right package for them more quickly than ever before. And so therefore, things like referral become more important than ever before, because
Yeah.
if a customer's got a decision to make and they need some help, then the friend can help them.
Yeah, I mean that's switching is incredibly easy these days, and it's not it's not just the big operators and MVNOs that you have to worry about now. It's any number of eSIM providers, even that and particularly for international business. So, given that people are switching that much, there's a risk to companies because your customers can leave you, but there's also the opportunity that they could be leaving for you, I suppose. But I suppose more now than ever, it's kind of always be acquiring, whereas perhaps once upon a time it was acquire a customer once every 12, once every 24 months, 36 months. Now you kind of have to acquire them every month, right? You got to, like, retention is hard.
Yeah,
challenging.
it's really difficult. So I know I've been in this industry for a long time, but I see eSIM providers come up all the time that I've never heard of, and anyone could move to them at any time. And unfortunately, networks occasionally have outages where the network is down for maybe 12 hours, 24 hours. People are impatient and they want to fix a problem, and so they will change network immediately. So the customers have suddenly got this freedom to move quickly. They've got all these different choices that they can move to. And how does the average consumer, the busy human being, choose? Quite often they trust a friend more than anybody. So I went on holiday recently, and I wanted an eSIM for one over there, and I went online and I looked at all these different aggregators, lots of different
Yeah,
networks I'd never been on before. But my wife had done it, and I asked her, which network did you choose? And she told me which one she chose, and I just chose that one because I
right.
trust her rather than
Yeah.
an aggregated website. And so, like the power, the word of mouth, the power of recommendation is just in this world of AI and misinformation. Word of mouth gets more and more important.
Yeah, I have a lot of love and patience, and I know that AI is going to be a thing that I use an awful lot in the future. But right now, I'm going to be the first one up against the wall when the robots take over. I'm a lovely guy. I don't get into fights and arguments with people, but me and Gemini, we got problems right now, and ultimately, ultimately, at least me being quite unpleasant towards the robots.
Or it sometimes tells you the wrong thing, doesn't it? You can't,
Yeah.
at this point in 2026, you can't 100% trust AI. It's not possible. I trust my wife, so
Yeah.
if she wants to recommend something to me, I'll believe her over Gemini any day of the week.
I know, and they come up with stats like it's 73% accurate. And I'm like, that means it's 100% inaccurate for someone like me. Because if I can't rely on something, then it's utterly useless. And if I'm going to take some information and use it somewhere else where people are going to judge me based on that information, it's not accurate.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
not going to take that risk.
And for some decisions, I will always choose human intelligence over
Yeah.
artificial
Yeah.
intelligence.
Right. So word of mouth plays that role. Other forms of alternative marketing as well, like because I suppose the reason I kind of focus on that is that in a world like mobile telco, everyone's broadly got the same messages. This is another thing that I've noticed as there been more and more players. There's a gravity of messaging that they all kind of tend to fall around two or three core messages that ultimately lead to no differentiation between them at all. And I guess it's because the technology is very mature now and the coverage is very good now. So uptime's pretty good, coverage pretty good, customer service maybe, but you can never trust a brand saying themselves we've got really good customer service because who wouldn't, right? So you kind of get to the point where unless you're using alternative kind of forms of marketing, word of mouth being one of them, there's just no way of differentiating yourself from 27 other players.
No, exactly. And that's one of the reasons why price comparison sites,
Yeah.
Uswitch, Money Supermarket, they are so popular now as a starting point
Yeah.
for a consumer to buy a new SIM or to buy a new handset, because it's just lost. It's lost in all the noise. So it doesn't seem to be any clear points of differentiation between the different operators. So when that's the case, then the consumer will say, well, I'll just go on price. Whereas with recommendation, you know that the person who's recommended has probably experienced the customer service. They've been through the joining journey. They've sampled the perks. They've experienced the network. Then they can say categorically, these things which are important to you have been important to me, so I will recommend. So yeah, it's a big spending category, mobile. So everyone spends a lot of money advertising online and offline, and all the messages are out there, and it is confusing for people. So I think, like you said, word of mouth is just becoming more and more important, and our
Right.
referral schemes are really successful in mobile now.
It's that abundance of choice thing, right? Which like it felt like such a good thing. We'd be going into an age where we can have lots and lots of choice for things, but now you used to spend most of your days choosing what to choose. It's really nice, like you say, just to ask your wife, eSIM, that one, good, done. Imagine getting something done in 30 seconds like that, rather than having to spend. If you're anything like me, spend night after night after night researching everything.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like, it's never been as big in the mobile category, the referral schemes, as I feel like it should have been. Like,
Right.
there's some schemes, like I don't know, like wine clubs, where referral schemes everyone knows about them. I've got a case
Yeah.
of wine, I get you a case of wine, we'll both benefit. Sky Television, for example, I recommend Sky to you. The energy providers, I think, Bulb were very famous. They had one.
Yeah.
But I don't think today in 2026 people still think of referral schemes as a big deal in mobile. I don't think and the average consumer thinks, oh, I need to get a new SIM or I need to get a new handset. I'll speak to my friend to see if they've got a deal.
Yeah.
It's never really been front of mind for consumers. But in my experience, where I've run these schemes, they're really successful and they're good for the operator and they're good for the customer.
So I want to let's focus in on referral. I want to focus in at one of the brands where you worked, where I think it was that. I think they were famous for their referral program more than anything else, and that's giffgaff. Um, Before I started working in referral, I remember giffgaff's program was like a gold standard. I think over in the UK, it might have been the first major this is how we do it brand. Like over in the States, there was, Dropbox or Tesla. So there are other people that you look at. I think giffgaff not only was like a first in the mobile industry, I think it was the first in most industries. And the fact that their referral program was pretty much how everyone discovered them. And the fact that their success was just stratospheric because of it very, very quickly. I know scaling becomes a whole different issue.
Yeah.
Tell me about giffgaff. You came to it a little bit after its early stage, but you ran the referral program there?
Yes, so I can't claim credit for starting the giffgaff referral program, and obviously I can't share too much information now that I'm with there. But there were
Yeah.
two things that really played into the favour of giffgaff and referral programs. First was the positioning of the operator itself. The strapline was the mobile network run by you, and they had that
Yeah.
strapline for a long time, and that was all about community. And if you have a customer service problem, another member will help you out. So they're called members for a start rather than customers. So, and if you wanted to get someone to join the network, you would recommend a friend. So the whole model was the network run by you and a big community approach. So that was the first thing that really helped them. And the second thing was before data was massive, phone calls were still important. Now all mobile packages have inclusive unlimited minutes now, but at the beginning, they didn't. But if you recommended a friend, a giffgaff member recommended another member, they got free unlimited calls together. At the time, that was a
Yeah.
big deal. And
Yeah.
and that's one of the things that I think will always be something great for any referral scheme. If the two people who connect can have some mutual benefit.
Mhm.
So quite frequently, so the SMARTY program, for example, is a voucher. You get a voucher, they get a voucher. But if there's anything else that can be put on top of that, maybe a proposition or some other perk, then that's what really accelerates it. And that was what giffgaff really benefited from at the beginning, the unlimited calls between referred customers and the whole positioning of like, we're a community together, we do everything
Yeah.
together. It was absolutely beautiful for them. And because they were one of the first as well, that's probably why they became so famous for it.
Yeah, I hope I'm not getting the brand wrong. I think it's Wise, formerly TransferWise. I think at least it used to be the case. I don't know if it's still the case, and forgive me if I'm wrong. We did one of these MVP interviews with them. Go and watch that video. Anyone watch it? But you would get better rates sending money to a friend who had referred you. I believe that's the case. If it was something we were chatting about that is an idea of something that they're thinking of doing further in the future, and I've just divulged that, then I'm sorry, it's not. We don't have to take this out. It's fine. But that's such a good idea, right? If you refer a friend, you get preferential rates for a transfer with them. And that's absolutely that DNA that you're talking about with giffgaff, that you get unlimited calls with that person. So, like, I know it's a challenge for some people. And I know setting up functionality between two individuals is a real challenge. But if you can do it, wow, you've locked in those two customers forever.
Yeah, it works. And I mean, from the economics of it, so say you're in the business who wants to run a referral program and you're sitting down with a finance team and you're writing a business case, it all still stacks up. And the new customers that you acquire and the loyalty of them and the amount that they spend exceeds the cost of doing those extra perks between the two. So I remember following the Bulb referral program, the Bulb Energy Company, and I don't know what it was. They started out something like 25, then it went to 50, and it was 75 and 100, 150. And I remember following it thinking, that must still pay back. That must still be economically viable for them to
Right.
do that. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. And
Yep.
yeah, so I think it's a challenge for anyone who wants to do a referral scheme, whether it's a mobile or any other industry. If you can get that mutually beneficial thing for the referrer and the referee, then that's what's going to really make it fly.
Is that I remember a number I heard from the insurance industry that it's only, I think, within the third year that you actually start to turn over a profit because the acquisition cost just eats up 2 years of any margin or revenue. Anything like that in the mobile industry? Is the idea that you still need to renew before you really start seeing money?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, each
Yeah,
operator's got its own startup
yeah,
costs, the small operators. But when you think about the other options for them to get new customers in 2026, they're so expensive. You want to spend some money advertising on Google, really expensive. You want to spend some money advertising on an affiliate's website, really expensive. You want to advertise out of home, television, radio, so expensive. Whereas wherever I've worked, the team that looks after member get member or referral scheme has been in the customer base team, the CRM team. And that's just the cost of an email. That's free usually the way it works. As you will go out to your customer base and say the referral program has got a special offer, for example, refer your friends. And that is so inexpensive and cost efficient compared to
right.
all those other advertising methods.
I mean, that was giffgaff's genius. So that it wasn't just the acquisition side of it. With No, it's fine. It wasn't just the acquisition side of it and the referral program where they cut those costs by outsourcing it to the community. They outsourced everything. Like the whole business was outsourced, right? So the support and the help and sales and the marketing, everything was community led. I don't know if you can do that anymore, but what a brand.
No, exactly. And a lot of people don't know what the word gift gaff means. It's old Scottish. I mean, I gift you, you gaff back to me, and it
Yeah.
means mutual giving, and that's why they originally started. And obviously that plays brilliantly into a referral program, doesn't it?
Yeah. They had, I'm sure they still do, superstar referrals there that would make like, because you could get cash rewards, I think. And people have been making like, quick maths in head, six-figure salaries through their referral program. Like some of the superstars were making 150, 200,000 pounds a year off referral, which is
Yeah,
bonkers
so
and
some
brilliant.
people were making good money from it. I don't know if it was quite as high as that, but someone making good money from it. Because
Yeah.
the scheme worked that if you referred more and more people, the scheme would then morph into something called a super recruiter program. Whereas people run it as a small business then, and the
Yeah.
mechanics still works the same of referral. They get paid, you get paid. Yeah, and smart people
Yeah.
made a business out of it.
Did you ever interact personally with those superstars?
There was a team dedicated to, and they would get marketing support and help. Not me personally,
Right.
although I did consider setting up my own car boot sale to try and do some sim sales, just for a bit of extra cash at the weekends.
The other thing that giffgaff, I think, did, I mentioned it a minute ago, I think they did it before other people, was to give a choice of reward. That was really unusual with a referral program back in those days. But the idea that you could like get credit or cash or I think a charity donation. Um, and I've seen that in other places where you've worked as well. And recently, SMARTY moved to a reward choice as well. Well, not that recently, a little while ago. Um, it's important, right? I think.
Yeah, it is. It's really important because it gives the customer a choice, because otherwise you are making a decision on their behalf of, oh, you want airtime, or oh, you want a voucher, and oh, you want a voucher for this retailer. And what right does any company or any operator have in making that decision on behalf of the consumer. So if you give them the choice, they're more involved in it as well. It's a proactive decision that they're making. So it's absolutely the right thing to do. At SMARTY, we had a few different voucher choices. And when you saw the different retailers, you would think, oh, everyone will go for that one, won't they? But then when you see the redemption, there is redemption for the other retailers that you didn't expect. So it gives
Yeah.
consumers a choice. And mobile companies, the broad companies that appeal to millions of different customers, different types of demographics, different segments. So it's very difficult to say, here's an offer, one size fits all. It works better if you give them a choice, I've found.
Yeah, some people are going to be incentivized by it being a bonus, a treat. So a John Lewis voucher, kind of exciting because, it's not your everyday. Some people are going to be really excited by, money off their supermarket shop, the essentials that they do all the time. But completely different use cases there. Like completely different demographics of customer are going to feel very, very differently. Personally, I'm more motivated if I get something above and beyond the everyday.
Yeah.
But other people would love to have their everyday made easier. So how on earth can you decide that for
Exactly.
people?
And I'm originally from Stoke. And when there's an offer for John Lewis, I remember always there is no John Lewis in Stoke. People from Stoke, my hometown, are not interested in John Lewis vouchers. So I personally love the Amazon voucher because I spend so much money on Amazon. If I see an Amazon voucher, that's the one for me. But the John Lewis vouchers get redeemed. Some people like them. So you have to give them a choice, whether from Stoke or anywhere else.
After all these years, they've still not done it. That's awful. How far was the nearest one?
I think it's
How
got
far
to
do
be
you-
in Manchester, I think.
Yeah. That's no good, is it? No one wants to have to go to Manchester. We touched on Smarty. Let's talk about them. I mean, we at any point jump in about some of the big sort of mainstream operators, but I'm always very interested, particularly in the UK, in the MVNO scene because I think it's where change happens first, and then things naturally get rolled out more broadly. But you get these incredible disruptors, and giffgaff I think is a legendary brand because of how disruptive it was. Smarty is another one. Like the tiniest, most skeletal crew. It's a real David against Goliath kind of thing. Like who built an absolutely viable alternative in an incredibly short period of time. For its what I want to ask about is its referral program. It was different from giffgaff in that they didn't build it themselves. So this is where I come into it, or we come into it, because giffgaff, not a Buyapowa client. Smarty, yes, the Buyapowa client, and we love and adore. But the referral program was outsourced to us rather than it being self-built. I'm not sure you were around at the start of Smarty, but have you got any perspective on why it was outsourced rather than self-built?
No, I don't know. But if it was my choice, I would have outsourced it anyway. Because one of the issues, one of the biggest challenges if you work for a mobile operator in the UK is because of the technical roadmap or the CapEx roadmap or whatever you want to call it. Now, particularly small operators, they want to do so much. We want to launch this product and that product. And we also need to comply to this legal regulation, this new Ofcom regulation. We need to make this technical change because of this. We need to fix this customer problem. And there's so many technical things that need to be done to just keep the lights on of an operator that if you're trying to put in changes to a referral program in that list, it's not going to make the front of the priority list. Whereas if you outsource it to a company like Buyapowa, obviously you pay Buyapowa, pay you guys, but you have the resource and the expertise, obviously, to give us advice on the best way to run things. It's outsourced to you. And so there's none of that nonsense of priority calls and technical issues and all those headaches. So if I wasn't there at the beginning, but I would outsource. If it was up to me, I would outsource to a company like Buyapowa.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't do these things as a sales thing, but I think a really important thing to remember is, yes, potentially you might be able to build it yourself. Although I dare say there are times where people haven't thought actually of a lot of the small nuances which are really vital for these things to work. But yeah, you could totally get it built. But in 3 years' time, when something goes wrong or you have to change something or a law changes or you want to expand into a new territory or, revamp it in some way, you're not going to have that dev team available to you. It's just not going to happen because they'll be building the next project.
No, and I've been in that exact position where someone says, "Oh, we can build that ourselves," and then we have built it ourselves. 3 years later, you finally get that project over the line. You'd outsourced it, okay, yes, you would have paid money for it, but it would have got done in 3 months or 6 months, and you could have carried on with the other stuff in parallel. So
Yeah.
always for something like referral programs, 100%, I would go to an external third party like Buyapowa.
It's funny, isn't it? You could build your own email server as well, but brands tend not to do
Oh,
that,
then
You could build your own CRM system,
yeah,
but brands tend not to do that. It's yeah. I think in this day and age, the sensible money usually is on SaaS, isn't it? It's usually on outsourcing these things so that you can focus on what, as a company, you are brilliant at, not what you might be able to do if you try. Yeah. Um, at Smarty, spoke about how vital it was for giffgaff. How big a part of a pie was it at Smarty, which is your most recent role? That's where you were most recently.
absolutely vital. To
Yeah.
be honest, not exaggerating, completely genuinely, it is such an important part of the makeup of acquiring new customers for Smarty. There are, like I said, it's a very commercial company. All mobile operators are very commercial. I was head of commercial, so I would know the cost per acquisition of getting a new customer from all these different methods, and I therefore knew the cost of acquiring a customer through a referral program. And it was very good, and it acquired some of our best customers, and absolutely 100% was that vital. Like I can't underestimate that.
Right.
It would sit alongside all the other acquisition channels as something we would need to consider for closing the gap, for growing volume, and all the commercial levers that anyone want to pull. The referral program is one of them, and that's just acquisition. So there's also the retention and loyalty benefit, which communicating to customers about a great deal is brilliant. It was one of the perks of Smarty. Yeah, so yeah, absolutely vital, really, really important.
I like the way that Smarty started. Again, they've been really flexible with the program as well. So started offering what I call tiered rewards, so bigger rewards depending on the value of the acquisition. Um, or started doing booster campaigns where it would be double rewards for a period of time. It's just, it's never been a static program with Smarty. They've always, and you've always, because you were running it until very recently, but always had a really good open mind to how can we change it, how can we evolve it, what what is my big mission for this quarter, what am I looking to do right now? Okay, how can I twist a referral program to serve that goal as well? Um, yeah, referrals a tool. It's not a set and forget thing. You could do other stuff with it. You can be like, this quarter, I want it to do this, and then change things.
Yeah, exactly. And we changed it to a tiered rewards program because it seemed fairer for the customer. If a
Mm.
customer on a £6 tariff recommended someone on a £6 tariff, they were getting the same reward as someone on a £20 tariff who recommended a £20 tariff to a friend. Didn't seem quite fair for the customer. So first of all, it made it more fair for customers. Like the higher value tariff you refer, the better you get. That's point A. Point B is it's actually obviously better for Smart as well because it encourages higher value customers to refer more, which is obviously your objective when you sit in the business and on the drive volume. So that was the first thing. Second thing around promotions, just got to keep the promotion interesting. If it's just static and not moving, like what do you tell customers about? Oh, don't forget the referral program stuff here. Now you can say, well, this month we've got double rewards, for example. So it's a good opportunity to talk about it to customers, and customers are gonna benefit from it more than they did previously. Yeah, so it's to keep it vibrant and interesting. And you could keep the same offer all the time, but I don't think I've ever seen a referral program anywhere where it's just a static offer all year round. So yeah, it's an important part of the trading calendar for the business and something interesting for the customer.
Right. I mean, there are programs where it's static. It's just they're the ones that generally become so part of the furniture you forget they exist.
Rubbish ones.
Well, like Uber is a great example. So I mean, I think they still do have a referral program, but certainly in some parts of the world. But how long has it been since anyone's actually used it? And yet, in the beginning, everyone did. Everyone discovered Uber because of referral. But where they, I think, went badly wrong is they didn't change it in any way. And they didn't have what you were talking about a minute ago, which is the idea of, a high value acquisition gives a high value reward. So I refer a friend of mine who gets executive cars for all of the people in the C-suite all the time, spends an absolute fortune through Uber, and I get a £1.50 reward for that, or something really, really, it's just
Consulting.
crazy. Yeah, completely crazy. Particularly now, where I can't understand it. Like when they do flights and things like that, man, the opportunity to crank that referral program out, because not a lot of people necessarily know that Uber does flights. And if you're an Uber One member, you get 10%. I'm doing an advert for Uber, but you get 10% of your flight value back. That's quite a lot of money.
I
It's
didn't
quite
know
good,
that. I didn't know Uber did flights.
right? And I've just told you that. What I should be doing is referring you, and I should get a kickback for that, because those are quite big sums of money that all of a sudden are changing hands. That's really exciting to a referrer, right? Give me 5% of the value of that. Amazing.
Yeah,
But
totally.
no, they let it die. I don't understand why.
Oh, shit.
Really weird. Yeah. Um, Another thing I really, really love about Smarty is that it's not a focus on referring one friend. It's about referring all your friends and all your neighbors and all your colleagues. It's not just friends, but there's that really big, broad kind of, this is your way in to the brand. And I think it almost starts with referral and then other things fit around that.
Yeah, exactly. And let's be honest, Smarty isn't the most well-known provider
Yeah.
in the UK. So we need all the help we can get to get the message out there. And if the father, say, in the family has got a Smarty SIM, is enjoying it, then why not let everybody else in the family enjoy it? And that does the marketing on Smarty's behalf. And there's also a very popular proposition at Smarty called Everyone Unlimited and Mix and Match. They're where you can have a group of people together, and you all get a discount by being all joined together, having your accounts all lined up. So yeah, all those things are
Yeah.
So the average number of people who refer and the average number of people who are on a group isn't just two. So people find that they experience Smarty, they like it, and they tell more people, and so it's really a successful scheme.
Right. Build your own mini community within this brand.
Yeah.
That's the way referral does marketing to other people. But I suppose the other side of it is you have to do marketing to your existing customers to get them to refer. Um, any thoughts on the best ways or what you found most effective about promoting the program, filling the top of that funnel?
Yes. So there will always be, wherever I've worked, communications program to the customer base about the refer a friend scheme or member get member scheme, whatever it's called. But I've always found the most successful referrals happen within the first 30 days. I think that the brand feels fresh to the consumer. They've just joined. They're in the honeymoon period. They're really enjoying this, and it seems like the propensity to recommend is highest in that first month or so period. So that's where the majority of them come through, and then the rest of it, where referrals come through, I think it depends which operator it is. So I've seen spikes in the number of referrals at certain different points in a customer's tenure. So
Right.
I'm making this one up now. So say if it's 12 months, one
Yeah.
operator might see a sudden spike of people recommended at the 12-month point. For example, they've decided they've been with them for a year now, decide to look around. Oh, actually, notes are still a really good deal. Oh,
Yeah.
I might as well recommend a friend. So the biggest by far is always that first 30 to 45 day period. But there are other spikes throughout a customer's tenure where they're more likely to refer. And it's really interesting. It does depend on the operator on when those periods are.
And would you say the challenge is to hit them from multiple sides, or send them an email, send them an SMS, stick it all over, have pop-ups on your landing page in the app or whatever, or are there certain things that work better?
So it does depend on the consumer, because some people favor emails, some favor SMS, some prefer app push, some are opted out completely. So there's always a consumer difference on their own preference. So the only thing I've seen that's consistently successful, is when you send multiple messages on that topic. So if
Right.
you just send one message, hey, there's a referral program on, and there's a special offer. If you send it once, then what happens with email? 70% are never opened. So it's not going to work. But if you send a follow-up to non-openers, say, for example, or if you send a series of messages, maybe an awareness and educate, and there's ongoing messages from there. If you send a series of messages, that's more likely to gain traction, because you never know what is going on in a customer's life. You don't know what mindset they're in. You don't know whether they consider getting a new phone, or they consider moving house to an area with a different network. So you've got to try and keep it in their mind, for when they're in the mood to refer, they're aware that that program's there. Because if you just send one message on day 45, one message on month 6, then it's just going to get forgotten, if it's even opened.
Right. And timing is everything. I think we often think about, this is a good time in your life cycle when you might refer. But actually, the honest truth is that pull is as important as push when it comes to referral. We always think referrers are people, sitting at home firing messages out randomly. Do any of my friends want? That's not how it actually works. The way referral actually works, it can work like that, but the way it often works is Debbie has a conversation with you in the pub, and Debbie goes, I really hate my mobile network. I'm totally switching. And then you say, then that's when you refer, when it organically comes up in conversation. Anyway, you're still a referrer, but there was a pull before there was a push. And so that's where being in the front of the referrer's mind is so vital, because if they got an email about it 2 days before, they're going to go, oh God, yeah, and there's a referral program. That's perfect timing. But if you told them about something 6 months before and it's no longer in their head, when Debbie says, I'm going to switch network, you might refer, you might not. You might say the brand you're with, you might not. But, at that point, you are going to say the brand that you want them to say, because there's rewards involved and there's all the other good stuff that comes with referral.
Yeah, and mobile operator, it's not that exciting category anymore. It's not that exciting industry. People don't generally talk about their tariff very often, really, and it's quite a short decision to make to choose a SIM only provider. If I'm only going to spend £8 a month or £10 a month, they don't actually even invest that much time in choosing at the beginning. However, when you get the chance for that opportunity, if it ever comes up in the pub, or ever comes up with your friend, that, oh, my network's a bit rubbish, or am I getting ripped off here? I'm paying £16 a month. Then if it's in the customer's mind, because they have seen an email, oh yeah, no, I'm with SMARTY, I'm with giffgaff, or I'm with any other operator, and I've got a great deal. And I've just remembered I got a message about a referral scheme. Why not recommend you? So it's those moments that we're never going to be front of mind for people all the time anymore. It's because it's not that exciting category. But if your CRM is right, and your copying, your creative, and your timing is all good, and your targeting, and you've got a scheme that's there, that's rich and compelling, and there's an offer on, and you've got it interesting enough for the consumer that when those moments arrive, they will recommend it. That is what you're aiming for. And Buyapowa have been great for us with that.
Perfect. So referrals often seen as a marketing function. Another brand that you work for, we used to partner with O2. And it was, when we worked with them, that was part of their innovations team. It was just really, really interesting how referral just sits with different teams. It's in other places, it's a commercial function. Where do you think it fits? Is it naturally at home with marketing, or could it be anywhere?
I've had debates in the past. Does it sit with the commercial acquisition team? Does it sit with the retention CRM team? I personally think it should sit with the retention CRM team, because the majority of the successes you'll get are from contacting your base, from putting things on your website, for putting things on your app, and making sure that it's completely available and visible for customers to see. That doesn't mean it shouldn't sit elsewhere. If your industry is more in the growth phase and more about acquisition, maybe you should put it with the acquisition team or the growth team. But yeah, I think for mobile operators with big bases where the opportunity is massive, I think it's the right place to put it in a base management team.
Right. But I suppose it's also very important that there is buy-in from all the other teams as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be
Yeah,
buy-in. It's got to be supported. You can't just so the industry is quite bad at launching something and then just walking away from it. You can't do that referral
right.
scheme. It's an always-on scheme, and customers can be coming up to wanting to refer at any point in their life. So you've always got to be talking about it. You've always got to be considering the offers. Have we got to refresh them? Have we got to increase the value? Do we need to change certain things? Do we change the timing? Change the communications around it? You've got to keep it fresh, otherwise it'll just get ignored internally and by customers. And then what is the point of that?
So, you might be as big an evangelist for referral as me. I get the feeling that wherever you go, it's on your list of, 5 things that you're definitely gonna bring to the table wherever you go.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
it's
you're
massive
yeah,
now. Which when you buy something off the internet, there's always some sort of leaflet in it about if you recommend your friend, you will do this. And that's not just because the people think it's the right thing to do. It's because it works. People love getting a deal. They get a dopamine hit of getting a great
yeah.
new product. And then when they've got a dopamine hit, if they recommend the friend and they get their friend gets a product, there's another dopamine hit. So people do love it,
Mm,
and I think all smart organizations now will put a referral scheme in, whether I like Huel, for example. I was at my customer Fuel, they've got a great big referral scheme. And yeah, there's so many, and all good companies, particularly digital companies with a good digital experience, should consider
yeah.
consider referral program.
So, I'm a big old hippie that loves marketing messages about people loving each other and coming together and all of that. And I know that in the mobile industry, that was the big message for so many brands. It still is. So, you could be a bit rose tinted about it, but also I believe it. I believe that mobile technology has made the world smaller and cuddlier and lovelier and has had a broadly, there's some horrible stuff as well, but broadly, the world is a better place for it. So I'm imagining that having worked a quarter of a century in the mobile industry, you still feel that it's a force for good. Has it been a privilege?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was working for BT Cellnet when it changed its name to O2. And I remember the justification for calling it O2 was it's like the oxygen that we breathe. And the mobile operators, they liberate everything really. So all the websites, all the fancy phones you've got, they are liberated by mobile connectivity. And
Yeah.
it's only when it's taken away do you really realize how important it is. So
Yes.
last week I had to go to my daughter's ballet lesson, and it was in an area with no mobile signal and no Wi-Fi, and I had to sit there for 3 hours. On my word, I could not believe what my life felt like without mobile
Yeah.
connectivity. So it's a great industry from that perspective. And yeah, mobile connectivity is cheaper than it's ever been before, and it's hard to choose between the different operators when you're a customer. But as an industry, generally, it's fantastic, isn't it? I mean, it makes all of our lives a lot better.
And I guess these are businesses which, by their nature are big, have got big broad bases and are scaled, and you can do dynamic and exciting things at them. Does it still feel like that in the industry that, anything's possible?
It does. For the big operators, the 3 mobile network operators, they have been around a long time now. And if
Yeah.
you speak to anyone internally, they will complain about legacy systems, slow
Right.
moving tech. But there's this big well of new upcoming operators like giffgaff and SMARTY and ID Mobile. They can do things faster and they can do things better. And they consider themselves to be digital telcos. That's a phrase that they will
Yeah.
use internally. So a lot of the excitement and the innovation is coming from those operators. And you'll see that the trends in the industry are moving from the big operators down to the smaller operators. I think that's going to continue for a few years. Consumers beginning to get a better understanding of what eSIM is and how I can move a lot easier now. And I've actually heard of this brand. So it will continue in that way. And I think it will get more exciting in the next few years with eSIM and 5G.
Yeah. So that's what excites you next. The idea that you have the potential to really get a whole bunch of other customers properly enmeshed into wherever you're working through that new
Yeah,
technology.
exactly. And I talk about consumers all the time, but an eSIM can be placed into so many different electrical devices these days.
Right.
Kettles, fridges, you name it. And once all the machines start talking to each other and everything's online and the whole world is seamlessly online, then it's going to be even more mind blowing than it is today.
Right, and even though I get into massive fights with the AI robots and they're gonna shoot me one day, the idea of actually setting an AI agent up to do things for me that is going to rely on the connectivity and various devices that I take around the world with me. But if I can tell Gemini that other AIs are available, if I can tell it when I get to such and such a place to do such and such a thing at this different place with this, and there's a SIM card in each of those things, yeah, I can get quite excited about that stuff.
It is interesting. And when it come back to referral, which will you trust more? Will you trust Gemini to refer to you because it's got the wealth of all the information, or will you trust your mate? That'll be interesting over time as people get more used to AI.
Yeah.
Will it be human first or will it be AI first? It'll be very interesting.
Oh dear God, let it be humans. DC, thank you so much. It's a privilege. I love talking to people that have been, have got as much experience as you, because it's not just what did you do last week, but it's from a bigger vantage point, how do you think things work? So it's been a privilege and a joy. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Robin. Thank you.